Hi guys, welcome to the third part of our tutorial series where we're going to be talking about conditional statements and switch case in C++. Today we're going to look at how to use an if statement and a switch case to test for certain conditions in our code before we run it to the terminal. We're going to see how we can manipulate the if-else statement and how we can embed if-else statement in another if-else statement. So let's get straight into it. So first of all, if statement is used to test for certain conditions in your code. If the condition is met, then the code will be run. For instance, I want to test for if a number is greater than another number. I can have int a is equals to, let's use 15. We close the line of code and we have int b is equals to 30. Yeah. So now on the next line of code, now I want to use the if statement to check if a is greater than b or the reverse. So I'm going to use the if block like this. I'm going to use the if keyword, then pass in the condition I want to test for. So I'm going to test for a, and I'm going to use the greater than sign is greater than b. Okay, this is what I want to test for, and I'm going to run it like this. Then I'm going to put the code I want to test for in curly braces like this. So now whatever is inside here is going to run if a is greater than b. Okay, so now I'm going to see out to the console. Let's say a is greater than b. That's all I want to do to the console for now. Then I'm going to close this line of code. Now I want to run this code and see what shows me in the terminal. Now when I build this code is going to test to see if A is greater than B. If so, it's going to print out this code. But logically from our code already, we can see that A is 15 and B is 30. So logically, this code should not run. We should have an empty terminal. Now let's run this in the console and see what that gives us. So when I run this in the console, I build it first of all. Then I run it in the console. Now when I run this in the console, you can see I have an empty terminal because there is no action to be executed when A is lesser than B. So now what if we don't have that condition met? What should we do? That is when the else keyword comes in. Else keyword works in such a way that if the first condition is not met, else will be the alternate condition that is met. So if A is not true, if the first condition is not true, else could now be your last result that will print to the console. Just to give the end user some message to understand why the code did not meet the first condition. So now let's go and give the else keyword here by using the else keyword else. Then we run a curly brace inside here. Then we can write again to the console cout a is not greater than b. Okay, so now when I run this to the console, I should be seeing the else condition because cout is not greater than b. Okay, that's sorry, a is not greater than b. I should be seeing the second condition there. So when I save this and I run again in the console, I can see my terminal there that what a is not greater than b. So this is how you can use an if-else statement to test for certain conditions in your code. We also have the if-else else-if statement. So now how that works is that the if statement first of all tests to see if a condition is met. If that condition is not met and you want to test for another condition, we can now use the else-if to test for that condition before we can now finally use the else keyword. So if I want to use that in my code, it's going to look like this. I'll break this down. Then I'll come in between the if and the else if to test for my second condition. I'll say else if, then I'm going to pass in the condition I want to test for. I'll say if A is double equal to is equal to B, perform this certain action. I'm going to see out let's say A is equal to B. Sorry, is equal to B. Now I want to run this code and see if A is equal to B, print A is equal to B. Now this condition will only run if A and B are the same values. So let me make the second condition in the code run by assigning the same value to this these variables here. If you observe, I'm using CLion as my IDE for this tutorial. You see that CLion intelligently snaps to see which code is going to run. You see that this code is commented out and this other code is commented out, just giving me a hint that this is what is going to run, else if. Now when I run this to the console, I should be seeing A is equal to B. So I've showed you guys how to use the if statement alone and how to use the if else, then how to add another condition in your code, which is going to be the else if. We have one more method of using the else the if statement in C++. Now I want to show you how to use the shorthand if. I have a variable result here, and I'm going to use the shorthand if to pass in a condition for if a is equals to b or if a is not equals to b. So to do that, I'll just simply test for my condition. I'll pass in the condition I want to test for. It's going to be a is equal to b. Then I want my code to give me this is the first condition I want to test for, and if it is true, I'm going to say a here is equal equal to b. Yeah. Then now for my other condition, that's the else condition. I can use the else condition by simply passing this column, then my condition. This works as the else condition. Then I'll say a is not equal to b. Okay, so now I'm having an error here. Okay, I'm not supposed to use an int on a return variable, so I'm going to use string here. That should fix it. Then okay, so now I have used the shorthand if here simply by just saying if a, I have that here, this logic here, if a is equal to b, okay, then print a is equals to b. This should be the action that should be executed. Else, using this column, this should be the action that should be executed. So I'm done with that line of code. I simply just clean it, end the line of code with the semicolon. Then now to see the result on the console, I can simply just see out my variable. So I can just say see out less than sign, then my results. Then when I see out my result, I should be seeing if my condition is met by having a is equals to b, or if my condition is not met by having a is not equals to b. Like I told you before, my IDE just smartly picks the end result and highlights it to green to just give me a hint on what would happen. I have that a is equals to b already highlighted. So when I run into my console, I should be seeing a is equals to b already like this. Now to give you the alternate result, I can just come here and change this to not equal to. When I change this to not equal to, you can see that my console, also my ID automatically just changed the result, and when I run it again in the console, you would see my a is not equal to b. So this is how you can go about using the shorthand if in C++. So if you have other conditions again you want to test for, but you are not comfortable using the if else statement because it's bulky, and you have a couple of else statements you want to check for, C++ has another terminology available to us, which is the switch case. The switch case is almost similar to the if else. How it works is that it just takes in a different series of cases and prints out a result to the console. Let me give you guys an example on that. So this is how you go about using the switch case. For instance, I want to create an application that greets the user on a particular day. Okay, so I can just simply come and declare the variable day is equals to, let's just say day is equals to 4. We close that line of code here. Now I would just first of all start with my keyword, which is switch. What I want to switch for, what I want to test for in every given scenario is going to be the day I've declared up there. Then I'm going to say, now everything that's going to occur in this query brace should be the conditions that will print different statements to the user if that condition is met. So now, how we can test for different conditions in C with switch is to use the case. So we have the case here, which is 6, for instance. I want to greet the user if it's the weekend. Okay, so if the user gives me 6, I am going to say see out today is Saturday. Okay, okay, I have that. Now this code will keep on running on this case until I break. Okay, I have to use the keyword break to avoid this code from looping all through this case in particular. So I have the keyword C++ when you're using a case break, which allows me to break out of this condition if the condition has been met, or when the condition has been met rather. So I'm going to use another case here again. I'm going to use um case again. I'm going to give it case 7 for Saturday. Okay, then now I'm going to see out Saturday is for Sunday. So see out today is is today is a Sunday, whatever. Okay, now I'm going to still use the break keyword again so that my code will break when this particular condition has been met and avoid my code from looping on that particular case to cause a runtime error. Now I want to have a last result. What if the user does not put any of the weekends? I'm going to use the default. Like we have else in if else statements. Default allows me to give the last case scenario if my both conditions were not met. So to avoid giving the user an error, I can contain that error in a default statement. So I can say default, which is a keyword, default, then I pass in what I want to use here, cout, sorry, that's colon, not the weekend, guys, sad emoji, not the weekend, guys. Okay, so this is how you can use the switch statement in C++. Now let's run our code and see what our code gives us. I run this code now. I should be seeing not the weekend, guys, because my day is 4 and I don't have any condition for 4, any case for 4 as the case may be. So when I run it on the console, I should be seeing not the weekend, guys, because my day is not part of the weekend days. So if I change my day to 7, for instance, I might have a new result, which will be today is Sunday. Okay, now we can make this code more dynamic in such a way that we don't have to manually put in the day here. We can get the day from the user. So I can just pass in declare day on line 7, then use the cin, which we spoke about in our last tutorial, and pass in the day from the user. We're just going to write some text for the user to see. We just say cout um inputs the day of the weekend, just to give the user a hint on what to do. Then when I run this my code, I will be able to use the day as an input storage bank to store any data I get from the user and print out that data to the console based on the input from the user. So now let's run this. I should be seeing input the day of the week. I put 5 and I press enter. I see not the weekend in my results there because it's not the weekend. 5 does not classify as a weekend. It starts from 6, 7, and the likes. So I can run it again. I'm going to use 7 now, and I have today is Sunday. So I want my code to end on a new line. I can just use the end L here and pass in this and L because I don't like the fact that it's joint on that same line. So if I run this again, it should come to a new line. Yeah, so I can use 6 again, or let me use 7 to get a different result. I guess today is Sunday. So this is how you can use the switch and the if else statement to test for different conditions in your code from the user. So I've been able to show you guys how to manually change the value and how to get the value from the user. See you guys in the next one where we're going to be talking about conditions. We're going to have the while loop and we're going to have the for loop. With the while loop and the for loop, we can easily loop through a bunch of code and print in a result and print out a result to the console until that condition is met. See you guys then. Cheers.